Attention everybody, the views and opinions expressed in the show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. I thought I hit play, but I didn't.
Sorry we're late.
We're not late. Well, we're actually earlier than we usually are.
Are we?
Yep. Good morning, everybody. Coming to you live from Axe Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay. Not Steve today. He's on his way to Columbia to get some things checked out. But today's topic, let's talk about it. So that leaves us open for quite a bit of possible talkie opportunity. Yes, I said talkie opportunity.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Wait for the hook. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
We're glad to have everybody on board with us today. So, let's talk about it as the topic of today's show. We got a really good show. We don't have any guests planned today, nor do we ever really have guests planned.
We just have people come on.
We just have people come on, show up. Because we've had plans before, and most people, unfortunately, a lot of people, they say, oh, well, yeah, I'll do that, and then they don't end up doing that. But that happens, you know, people have lives.
Miss you too, Steve.
Yeah, Steve is on his way to Columbia.
Yeah.
Just to check things out and make sure everything's going along after his surgery and stuff. Making sure there's not a bad deal.
Yeah. So I'm concerned. So let's talk about this. I'm concerned that I'm having a kidney issue because I've been having these pains in my kidneys, real painful ache in my kidneys for a day or so, and then something starts moving around inside in places that are very painful, and then I feel it. I feel it's there.
Kidneys and bladder
comes out and urethra.
Yeah.
To use a word that's not so
urethra. Oh,
vulgar, but so then it comes out and it's very painful and it burns for a little while, and there's been a little bit of blood. I think it's blood because I've been drinking a lot of water, and when this occurs, the urine's dark. So I don't know, but it smells funny. But anyway, so I'm thinking, man. But now this has been going on for a month. Every couple of days my kidneys hurt. Every couple of days something comes out that doesn't feel so great. And then Sunday at church, I could see it. So it was big enough to see.
So you hear a
in the
dink
urinal.
on the bowl?
No, no. You just see it come out and then swirling around inside the little urinal thing. And then it hurt really quite a bit. It hurt along the way, but then it really hurt.
Kidney stones under a microscope look like a sea urchin.
Yeah, like those
cockleburrs.
You know those cockleburrs that get stuck to your clothes.
Yeah.
And then everything
and it sticks you.
It'll get so stuck that your clothes will wrap around it and you can't even see it.
Or you have to shave your dog if they get on there.
They're
bad.
Painful, and they're very painful. And so I had a lot of pain since Sunday. Up until last night, it subsided. But yeah, it's painful. So I'm concerned that maybe the ibuprofen I've been taking for years, a lot of ibuprofen, may be affecting my kidneys. Or it could be the mineral-rich water I've been drinking at home.
Yeah, that's a good possibility also.
Yeah.
Dad and I was talking about that the other day because, we have like back pains and sometimes, and it's just kind of.
But I didn't know you could have a bunch of little ones.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you just have a kidney stone or two come out at a certain, but apparently, so there's been about 5 of them now in the last month.
That's better than one ginormous one. I mean, it's still, you got to figure out what's going on, why they keep building up.
Well, the bigger ones definitely do more damage the whole way that you can feel, that something moved through there that's doing it's not good.
No, that doesn't feel good, Jay. That doesn't sound like it feels good.
No.
I've never had a kidney stone before.
You'll know when you have one.
I bet. I mean, the first time you had one, you were on your way to the hospital, and you had an out-of-body experience.
Sort of, yeah. I actually, it was more of, I think, I wasn't in shock because shock is caused by bleeding too much. But I
Psychological shock.
no, I was unconscious.
Really?
Yeah, I think that I went unconscious without knowing it.
Because of the pain.
Because, you know, somebody can be what's called standing out. So your body continues to function as though you're conscious, but your mind is not there. So fighters have it, like boxers and stuff.
Yeah.
So they'll still stand and defend themselves as minimally, like, so the very basic, rudimentary
Autopilot.
stuff where they're still on their feet, but they're actually out cold. And a lot of fighters recognize it and will stop fighting and say, "Ref, are you going to do something here?" While
Yeah.
the person's like, still like this, while the other guy's talking to the ref.
Yeah.
You know, and the ref is like, "Whoa, wait a minute, maybe he is out," and then they stop the fight. So that's kind of what I think I was doing. But I see this thing moving in my peripheral, and I look, and it's my hand. Then all of a sudden, I can hear, my hearing comes in, and I'm going, ah!
You're like, what's that over there?
This
Oh.
thing was making such a mess of my guts, man. I'll tell you what, that hurts.
That sounds very painful.
Yeah, it was.
So when I said let's talk about it. So Steve McKellar says, "What things, Matt?"
Yeah, what are we talking
And then Jordan, he's like, "Ramen noodles." Every time this last week, every time I've called him, I hear this, and I'm like, "Are you making this morning ramen noodles?" Ramen.
They're fast, easy.
They're fast, easy, and they are delicious, but they are terrible for you.
Except they will sustain you.
They will sustain you because your body has a hard time digesting them because they're coated with a plastic-like substance that is a preservative.
Right.
No, and they're real ramen. Don't get me wrong.
Mice love them.
Oh yeah, mice love them. I love them. They're amazing. I love the taste of them.
Yeah.
But I can feel them going through my body, and it is not a pleasant feeling because it's hard to chew up the ramen into little itty-bitty microscopic pieces, you know? You always end up swallowing a bunch of just like longer noodles.
Mine works pretty well. I mean, my guts work pretty well. On
Well, I've had 4 hernia surgeries, so there's got to be an issue there,
Probably,
you know?
yeah.
And
It's also very high in salt.
very, very high in sodium. You know, there's as much sodium in a pack of ramen as there is in one of those, so I'm not going to name the brand, but a very popular,
Well, ramen's
Pizza.
a brand, too.
it's a type.
It's a type, is it?
Yeah, there's, that's what they are, the ramen noodles. Now, there are different brands of the ramen noodles. And so, I mean, and they're cheap and they're delicious.
Right.
I wished that they made like a low fat, low sodium, not so plasticky flavored ramen. I mean, I guess you could have egg noodles and put it in some.
So my plan when I move
Bangers.
in with you is to try to eat as much of dry goods, non-perishable dry goods as possible, to switch my diet away, so that I don't need a refrigerator as much.
Yeah, I don't use my fridge very much until I do my meal prep for the week. But I do use my freezer a lot because I have a lot of frozen vegetables. Frozen vegetables are the best kind because usually whenever they pick them, they freeze them, put them in a bag, boom. So the freshness, the like, that's why whenever you eat frozen vegetables, they taste like they're garden fresh or farm fresh.
Right.
Because they're literally flash frozen. That you pick them, put them in a thing, and usually they're flash frozen unless you get like the organic stuff that is, you know, like at the grocery store, you know, you see all the where it looks like it just came off of the vine or whatever. But if you're not going to eat them right away, frozen vegetables are the way to go.
Are they?
Yeah. And I like organic. It's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But organic means that they're non-GMO, meaning genetically modified.
No pesticides.
No pesticides. Like,
And it's good to support those people because they're really trying to do something good for
Yeah.
our environment, which we found historically that all of those very effective pesticides and things that we use aren't necessarily good for the environment. Kills bees.
yeah, humans.
Humans. Yeah, it gets into groundwater.
Yeah. Healthy vegetables. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
How do you find them?
you can go to, okay, so there's a very popular grocery store here in town that
Is it everywhere?
it's everywhere.
Okay.
And it's well, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. You get a lot of like their canned goods and stuff are all super super cheap, and you go in there, you don't bag you have to bag your own groceries. So everybody here who's been there know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But all of their vegetables are organic. And you like the pesticides, and I was thinking, what do they do to keep the bugs off? Well, what they do is they incorporate bugs that kill those bugs. That's the kind of stuff they use. No chemicals. Like you can plant certain
Chickens.
chickens. You can plant certain things around them to keep bugs away. I think magnolias. I think is it magnolia. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like vine-like, and they're very pungent in odor. Then it's not a good smell, but it helps keep mosquitoes away. It helps keep all kinds of stuff away.
Right.
And genetic modification, also one thing that I have against that is what they do. Part of the genetic modification is they make the seeds they're not heirloom.
Right. They can't be.
They can't be redone. That way, the farmers have to buy new seed every year.
Well, is that a consequence of genetic modification, like a side effect, or is that an intended thing?
I think in some cases it's intended.
Well, I imagine once they found out that's how it works, they thought this was a good thing.
Yeah,
for
because
business.
absolutely. There is go to your local library, see if they've got the seed programs there. I know in Willard, the public library, you can check out seeds, heirloom seeds, and then whenever you have fruit come up and you harvest, you set some seeds aside and you dry those out properly, and you turn them back in.
And do they have somebody to inspect them to make sure that?
I don't know. I need to go in there and check that out.
That sounds like a great program.
Yeah, and because growing your own food is it tastes so much better when you pick it right off the plant.
Yeah.
We had some lettuce come in that we didn't even know was still in there. Like the seeds and stuff were in there. Just this plant started coming out, and it's this green leafy lettuce. And so anytime you want a salad or something, you just go out and you can just tear some off of the plant.
Right.
Put it in your bowl. Well, rinse it off because we do use some stuff to keep the bugs off. But you just rip some out, rinse it off, wash it off real good, and then
where are the lettuce seeds come from?
From the lettuce.
Yeah, but I've never seen them. Are they the little things that grow at the base?
Probably.
I don't know. I thought those.
I think they're really small seeds with it throughout the lettuce. Now, I don't know about iceberg, but I know in a lot of the other lettuces,
I've been getting that romaine lettuce, the
romaine
long leaves.
Yeah, romaine.
Oh, that's so good.
Those are so, and in terms of health wise,
and they keep longer.
Yeah, in terms of the health and stuff, like romaine and green leafy lettuce, baby spinach, stuff like that, they all have nutritional value. Iceberg does not have any nutritional value whatsoever.
Right.
It's just water and fiber is all that is. So, and it's good for you. Was that me or you vibrating?
Dennis Severson.
Dennis will be broadcasting our 10 to 11 today. We're trying out new things. He's put together something from Peggy Lee and Jeff with a G.
It's funny to watch these conversations happening, and a lot of it, I guess, we're missing some of the conversation because I'm wondering what they're referring to. But what a great community!
Which community? Where?
On Axe Media Group.
Oh yeah, they post a lot of stuff on there.
I know, it's so cool. A lot of them aren't doing anything. They're not even paying attention to the show. They're just having conversations.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, see, I'm not seeing that. Did you start a watch party? I'm not seeing any of that.
This is all from Axe Media Group. I always go to Axe Media Group, go down to their live stream, and then I click it. I don't do I don't get anything off of Facebook or YouTube or anything. I watch the actual live stream from Axe Media Group on Facebook. That's how I get it, and that way, because I think I want Axe to be credited with the viewership, which is my viewership.
Yeah.
And that's just how I contribute as much as I can.
That's a good idea. Let me pop.
And I always share the YouTube.
Oh, see,
I share the YouTube on my timeline.
Wow,
so
you're
people
right.
people get access to the show not through Axe Media Group but through YouTube. because our YouTube viewership needs more people, more
Oh,
traffic.
I've missed so many comments. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah, this is
Jordan,
the way to go, man.
yeah. Good morning, Susan Burrows. Good morning, Steve McAllister. I did know you were there.
Yeah.
Miss you too. Ramen noodles. What things, Matt? Good morning from Jason Cobb. That's where I left off. Steve
Yeah.
Schultz says morning.
It's like been 100 things since then.
McAllister says morning, Steve. Steve McAllister says, hey, I enjoyed the classic morning drive yesterday. It was nice to see Steve too. Hard to hear Jason. That's because he's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Kidney stones. Drink lots of water. No nuts.
I've been drinking lots of water and I've been eating lots of nuts anyway. That's just one of my staple diet.
And that's probably
Is cashews.
And that was actually Pam Whining posting his Axe media
No
group.
nuts. Well,
Well-
was that an ironic humor thing?
No, that was a serious thing because, I'm pretty sure that her or her husband has had kidney stones in the past, and that's probably something. There's a lot of calcium and potassium
so I think
in
one
nuts.
is moving as we speak right now.
So you might have to get up in the middle of the show.
Right. Well, I don't know. If it gets bad enough, I will.
Steve says, good morning, Marcia. Marcia, good morning. That's
But
sister-in-law.
Isn't that something? Hey, thanks, but what's the alternative to nuts?
Kara McIntyre, good to see you.
So that's what I need to know.
I have missed you, Kara. Jordan says that fridge is like opening up a morgue sometimes. No, it was. Now there was some vegetables in there that went bad a little bit faster than I anticipated, and they smelled like a fart. Anyways,
Yeah. There's another thing I like is tiny house building. I was doing a little bit of research, and it is hard. Okay, so to build a house under 1,000 or under 500 or 1,000 square feet is not even legal. There's a minimum.
there's a
They
minimum.
did that in the 50s to the 70s. They did all kinds of universal, nationwide, state and citywide, even international standards of housing. That in order to have a piece of property with a home, a permanent dwelling on it, that permanent dwelling has to have a minimum amount of square feet. And I think that was designed to help the housing industry, also to eliminate alternative power sources. Because if you have to heat 1,000 feet, you can't do that as easily or as inexpensively with other sources other than actual city utilities.
Right.
Now they're forcing society to be wasteful, so that they have to produce the power because they're the only ones that can do it in the bulk that's needed. Like I designed this little tiny house that's big enough for one person to live in.
Yeah.
It has everything a person needs, but it can't legally be built. You can't put it anywhere on any property legally.
Unless it's called a shed.
Well, but then you can't live in it. It can't be
Right.
a permanent dwelling. They can come and actually make you move. You can only live there 2 weeks at a time.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's one problem we have with our government, is that they subsidize industries that way. So they force the public to do things that actually create business for industries and commerce, that force the public into using certain industries and certain commerce in order to survive, in order to live.
Yeah.
Which is not fair. I'm 51 years old. I have no children. I live alone. I don't need 1,000 square foot house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I retire, I don't have a retirement. I don't have, I got Social Security and that's it, and it's not much. In order for me, and I got a bad back, I'm on Social Security because of my back. I can't live in a way that's going to support myself when I'm 70.
Right.
There's no way for me to do it. So essentially I'm dead then and useless to society. A drain and a burden to society, which is another industry that's created because a government branch has to be established in order to take care of me. And that forces people to give up their property
They
that
call
they've
it being a ward of the state.
developed Yeah, well, they also
and then they take all your property.
they take your property, right? Those are not good things.
Yeah, those are non-constitutional things.
They are non-constitutional, but yet they are enforceable.
Yeah. Yeah, they tried to do that with Grandma.
Well,
And-
what they need to do is change those laws, and how we get those changed, I don't know. But I want to build a tiny house. I want not a tiny house. I don't mean I want to build a house on wheels. I do, but I want to build a house that's permanent, that's small, that I can take care of myself in without having so much to take care of, and having to overburden myself with way more utility need than what I can afford.
Right.
Why not build a small, tiny house with a small square footage that I can live in comfortably, have guests, and heat it and cool it efficiently in a way that I can afford to live?
Right.
Why are there laws prohibiting that?
Yeah, I think you should be able to do whatever you want on your property.
Yeah, but what happens when you end up clashing with law enforcement because your neighbor wants to complain because they're a jerk? And they want to get involved in somebody else's business because they want a big house next door to increase their property value.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And then the government has to come and confront you.
Yeah.
And then what do? Defend myself with a gun? Now I'm actually fighting law enforcement, who I respect and know we need and think is a good thing for society.
Right.
But now I am set up criminally to confront them.
Yeah. Yes, and that is crazy. I think they should change those laws as well. But how do we go about doing that? That's the question.
We have to make it an issue that comes up on ballots.
Yeah. So we need to get out there and get signatures.
Regulate housing, and I don't mean eliminate inspections,
Right.
but inspections should be affordable.
Right.
There should be income-based or a subsidy for people of a certain income that lowers the cost of permits. Because I don't want to build a house that's dangerous. So having the inspector come in and say you can't have that way, it's not safe, that's a good thing. You know, knowing how to build something safely is good for a dwelling. So I'm not against inspections. I'm against them saying you can't have a house that's less than 1,000 feet. I don't need 1,000 feet, and I will never need 1,000 feet again. And I don't want to need 1,000 feet again.
No.
I mean, what am I
1,000
going to
feet's
do?
a lot.
Marry a young woman with children? That's absurd.
That is kind of absurd.
You know what I mean? And then how would I support them? I'd still be set up for failure. It just doesn't make sense, and I don't like it. And in order for me to do something, live out my dream, set myself up for my future, I need to have these things. I need to be able to do these things, or I'm going to end up in public housing, which I do not do well in. I just want to fight everybody. I hate it.
Yeah. 'Cause people are kind of rough.
Well, yeah, and I shouldn't have to. You know what I mean? If I can scratch out my way into having what I can have to support myself and to leave something for my children that's valuable and builds community with my own blood, you know, why can't I have that? Why are there regulations that stop it? I mean, you can do inspections
right.
to make sure it's safely done to a standard. But a standard of a minimum square feet, who has the right to say that? The only way you can do it is if it's on wheels.
Really?
Yeah. And then you can't live in it more than 2 weeks legally.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks at a time.
Unless you're on property and taking care of elderly.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
So
That's
if you're
illegal. People are doing it, but it is illegal.
Is it really?
They could be stopped. If there are complaints, law enforcement would be forced by the statutes and by the regulations to go and tell them they have to move it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I know that out where we live, you have to have more than 5 acres to build any house.
Yeah.
Out where we live.
Yeah. Well, that's a decent standard because you got well and septic.
Mm.
I mean, you're going to build a septic system. You can't have a bunch of septic systems on 1 acre plots. You're going to have.
It's going to be sitting on a lot of poo.
Yeah, it's not going to be. I imagine that would overwhelm the ground.
Probably.
I don't know that.
You wouldn't really want to grow
But it
anything.
should be a matter of science, not a matter of industry and commerce.
I agree with that.
If I don't want to support a commerce or an industry, I shouldn't have to. There shouldn't be regulations that force me to. Sorry, I know it's boring.
What?
Nobody's interested. These are the things I'm interested in.
What are you
though.
talking about? Our viewership has grown since
And,
since we
but
started this conversation.
and what I really wanted to do, but now that I've understand the regulations, what I really wanted to do was to get a school bus, turn it into an RV, get a little piece of property, put a well and septic on it, and live in that. Hook those up to the well and septic while I was there, then be able to unhook it, travel around wherever in the country I want to go, love my country, see my country for what it is, and then come home and plug back in and stay until I can afford to go again. You know, that's what I dream of. But my dreams are crushed because of regulations that aren't even,
Yeah.
they're not even designed for the public. They're designed for industry and commerce.
Yeah, and that's it. And then people want to say masks are unconstitutional.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What battles are you picking?
Yeah.
You know, it's because it affects them.
Sorry, I was just reading a text from Jim. So back on the other thing, I've been meaning to get to this for a second. This year, a lot of people were growing gardens. It's hard to find seed. But you got to let the plant go to seed. But yeah, that's there's all kinds of regulations that are not meant to help the environment. They're meant to help industries, like you said. I didn't know that there was a law on like the minimum size or the maximum or the minimum size of a tiny home is what? What is it? What's the minimum size?
It's usually 500 to 1,000 feet.
Okay, 500 feet is not that big.
It's not that big, but it's hard to heat and cool if you're living by yourself, and the amount of solar and stuff that you would need to support that is high.
Yeah.
To design a house that is minimal, what I need to live comfortably and have guests in my home is, I can't remember what the measurements I had were, so it was 16 by 18.
And how do you figure?
288 square feet.
Yeah, that's
And
not
it would be
500.
a nice little house.
Yeah.
For as many guests as I do have ever, and when I do have guests, how many there are, this is a very comfortable house that everybody could come to. And it's got a separate bathroom with a washer dryer unit in it. I mean, the way I designed it was for that. Galley style kitchen, a living room with one couch, room for chairs, little, folding chairs or something, or even another chair, and a wood stove that's off by itself so it's not close to furniture or anything.
That's crazy.
But you can't do it. It's illegal. You can't put down a foundation and build that on it.
Really?
No, it's illegal.
You have to build it on wheels.
You have to build it on wheels, and then in most cases, you also are required to hook it up to electric.
Yeah, see, this stuff I didn't know.
You have to have a soil test and build your septic system according to what your soil can handle, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't mind hooking up the power, but they should pay me the same rate that I pay them.
I agree with that.
If I'm producing excess power and they're getting it, I should be able to get exactly the same amount they get for that watt. And then they should sell it back to me when I need it, the same price.
Yeah.
That's a fair exchange.
Yeah.
I'm providing for people that are using it when I'm not, and then they're giving it back to me when I need it.
Yeah, that's not too hard to ask for.
Yeah.
But and the question is, I mean, how do we? So we would have to submit paperwork.
War.
War?
I don't see them giving all that up, do you?
No.
Do you see them crashing industries as people pour out of the cities to get tiny houses and live within their means? That would crash our industry. It would crash our economy. If it became appealing to enough people, urban sprawl, so utilities wouldn't be able to manage that. People would have to be off grid. Our utilities would die. They don't want that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is, why are they building an economy that depends on forcing people to participate in industries and commerce and utilities that they don't want to participate in? And then their hands are tied. Their income and their actual life depends on those things.
Didn't think of that.
You can't heat one person who's disabled can't put in enough work and labor to support themselves on 5 acres in a 300 square foot house and manage that at a manageable
Right.
rate
I mean,
because
unless
of the laws and regulations.
unless you partition off part of the house and leave that to, you know, stay cold during the winter time.
Right, but the thing about the designs and the requirements of room sizes and stuff like that is what they do is they pretty much make that impossible. You know what I mean?
Let's see here.
Because you'd have to cut the living space off from the necessities like your plumbing, you know, your kitchen and so your kitchen and your dining and your kitchen and your bathroom. You'd have to separate those from your living space. So you're going to live in your kitchen and bathroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So partitioning it off, I don't know. It's discouraging to find out there's laws like this. It's discouraging to have an idea that works and is good for you and to start doing the research and find out you might be able to afford it if you really make some sacrifices and do the right things and then find out that the laws regulate against it.
There was some people down the street from where we live when I was younger, when I was in school still. They wanted to rebuild their house, but the county
Remodel it?
huh?
Remodel it or take it down and build a new one?
Take it down and build a new one. The county wouldn't let them.
Why?
I don't remember what the laws were or whatever. So, but they were allowed to rebuild their porch.
Right.
So what they did was they rebuilt their porch, and then, I mean, they weren't allowed to tear the whole thing down and rebuild it. So what they did, that's what they did. They left the porch standing and tore the rest of the house down and called it a remodel and rebuilt the house. And
Yeah.
then when they were done rebuilding the house, they tore the porch down and rebuilt the porch.
I understand some of that around lakes and rivers and places where environmental hazard, where you might be able to affect the environment in a way that is dangerous to the public. Like you don't want to have a septic system right next to a creek.
Right.
It's not appropriate. You know what I mean? I understand those regulations, and they're good ones. But to force somebody to consume more than they can afford to consume, and to force somebody to consume more than it's even not good for the environment.
Right.
You're forcing somebody to consume more utilities than what they need. Have a septic system right next to a creek.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but it's discouraging to see that. I mean, and to know who are they looking out for? They're looking out for industries and commerce, and that's not fair to the people.
Okay, so for some reason I'm not getting all these updated. I'm not getting, my computer's not actually updating the comments.
Oh, really?
So I'm behind again.
Probably because I said war. But I'm just saying, why, you know, and what would it take? How many people does it take? And how am I going to get enough people together to force government to change those regulations so that I can build something I need? That's not, see what I mean? Things
Yeah.
are set up where people feel like everything is so big and out of reach.
There's tiny houses that are sold in Willard.
Yeah, they sell them, but you can't legally put, and I want to live legally.
Right.
It's not that I couldn't do it and get away with it. But as soon as somebody complains just to be a jerk because they don't like you or don't want you somewhere, because they want to, you know, express their control, law enforcement has to come and tell you to move.
Yeah, but and you know, I guess form a good relationship between your neighbors, I guess.
Yeah.
Minneapolis has defunded the police. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah, I
mean to
heard
change
about
the
that.
subject unless I read it wrong. That's what Steve said.
Minneapolis.
3,
Minnesota,
not
right?
5. What does that mean? I'm catching up on all the comments. For some reason, my Facebook's not updating on the comments.
I understand you can do those things and get away with it. I want to live legally. You know, and I want to be under. I want to obey the law, and I don't want to do something that could potentially be a legal issue for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And why is it such that if I was to do something like that, there'd be laws and regulations prohibiting it?
Uncle Ray was talking about there was a house up their way that was a globe shape on stilts. Said Jay might remember. Um, that's cool. It's also called a windscreen. They're talking about the muffle also.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh, from my mask.
yeah, from your
Yeah.
mask.
So is people not are people not understanding me?
No, they're
Clearly?
understanding you. We're going to work on maybe uh, putting up a divider between us since I mean, we're close to the 6 feet apart, but
Yeah.
not really.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and I agree.
so we'll be putting up probably some plexiglass or something
Mhm.
to divide all the people that are sitting here
Not a bad
talking
idea.
to be safe.
It's a good idea.
I mean, we do spray everything down and
Sanitize.
chemically sanitize everything before the next person comes on. That's why we have to stop so early to make sure that all gets done.
So forgive me for my rant. I know a lot of people aren't interested in that.
No, you're
kind
right.
of
It's
thing, but
discouraging. So, I mean, hey, the topic of today is let's talk about it.
what else are we talking about? Anything else?
Um, that, sorry, yeah. I think a plastic divider would be fine in here.
You think so?
Yeah, I was just trying to think, the way to be safe in here. I mean, it would be easy to zip a screw in, right? Or find some clamps, C-clamp them in.
Right. I think so.
They don't have to be very tall, just enough so that way you guys could still see us, and we could be. We're working on the logistics and way to be safer. So Scott is on, obviously. Sandy Bray, hello. Larry says you can live in a camper. I guess it also depends on the county that you live in, and the city.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm having to
Some local governments do make deregulate things like that, but the thing is finding them and then finding a piece of property in that place that's deregulated so that you can legally do those things. You know, you don't want to do all that work that you already struggle to do, and then to have somebody come and say, well, now you got to either tear it down or move it. That's just not a future I look forward to.
No, I agree.
I want to be able to go into something knowing what the laws are, have it be legal, and have
And not be
my
surprised when you get something on your door.
Yeah. Yeah, that just suddenly crushes everything and puts all your investment in the trash can.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And I don't want to, just discouraging. Because I was reading about it online, about what it all means. Can you do it? Yes. Can you get away with it? Yes. Is it legal? Probably not.
Yeah,
And in a lot of cases, it says, no, it's not legal.
yeah. See, I wouldn't have even thought to.
So a lot of people are doing stuff and getting away with it, but it's not legal. And as a minister, I want to live in a way that's legal to
Obey the laws of the land.
Obey the laws of the land as an example, as somebody who loves God and wants to obey God, not because our government says so, but because God says so.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's a good way to be.
Yeah, God rules over me,
Yeah.
not the government.
But real quick, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, the Ozark Mountain Craft Mall.
Yeah.
She made the T-shirt that I am now wearing, and it's a really good one. Does screen printing amongst other things. The address is right below on 1940 Missouri 76. That's Country Music Boulevard in Branson, Missouri. 417-320-1221. She makes mugs and a bunch of other stuff. Plus, there's a bunch of other vendors there in the craft mall. You can go and watch people at their craft, and you can buy people's arts and crafts, decor, things like that. So go in there and check it out, and tell them Matt and Jay and Steve sent you, so that way they know that their sponsorship has not, been fruitless. So, anyways, just want to let you guys know that we got about 9 minutes before we gotta call it a day for the morning drive.
Sorry,
For what?
I'm just a little distracted now.
Oh, you're watching the stock markets, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hey. So that's one thing that I've never
Everything
been.
but one went up like I predicted they would. They were at lows that I predicted were their lows. They were still going down, and then they went up after I bought them. So that's good. They went down a little bit first.
Yeah.
And then there's one I really believe in and I like that is it's so volatile and unpredictable But long term, you can see and easily predict it. But then you also look at some other stocks that did what this one's doing, and then when it does drop, it drops fast and so far,
Right.
and then never recovers to the point where you bought in. So you have to be willing to give the money to that and support it because you believe in it, and that's
Right.
really the best I've got on that one. Anyway,
That's,
that's boring stuff.
well,
know.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of that stuff talked about, financial stuff talked about on the next show coming
I'm
up.
wondering what kind of show I can do
The new
that,
gold
that
standard.
would be about my interests and the things that I like, and that I could really pursue building a knowledge base of that I can, give good information and share it, because I have some interests, but to most people are boring, and it's finding the right audience for it.
I think we got a good balance here. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't find. I mean, it may not interest me to the extent that it interests you, but it's not boring by any
Right,
means.
and
It's
that's what
life.
I mean is to do a channel that's about the things I'm interested in, and
I
have
mean, we
that
did a show
be able to
yesterday.
work towards those things, and have people follow it who are interested in those things and also want to work towards them, and we can kind of report each other's progress. And
Yeah. I mean, you can start a group on Facebook even.
yeah, I don't like Facebook. I like YouTube. I get it. We're a part of it. Right. Right.
Sorry, I just inhaled saliva when I laughed.
Right. Sorry. I know. I like it. I mean, it's a good platform for certain things, but I get obsessed with it, and I can't get away from it, and then get discouraged with what progress, because there is censorship there. Um,
And I think there's going to be censorship everywhere you go.
there is, and but I can also make contacts with people that I can speak to personally.
Yeah.
And I like that. I'd like that. I'm more of a face-to-face, audio phone call type communicator, which is the way I like to communicate. Most people are away from that now, though.
I'm sorry, I'm texting Jim as well.
It was just really disappointing to find out there's regulations like that, and that they're pretty well universal throughout the nation, throughout the world in some cases. There's actually international zoning laws. Did you know that?
International zoning laws?
Yeah, that the community of nations around the world agreed that there are certain standards that have to be kept, and so that it's against international law to do certain things.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that ridiculous? Where did they get this power? Well, from God. God allowed it.
Yeah.
God allows it.
Gotta let it. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I'm worried I hope I'm not missing any comments, because this thing here is not updating for some reason.
I know I sound discouraged. It's when I get on a certain thing. I do rant. But you know what? The truth is, I love the Lord, and I have peace in my life. I've had really deep discouragements, and I go up and down a lot. But in general, I have great people in my life who are very supportive, who understand me and are willing to stand in there with me, and are concerned for me and care for me. People that I return that to. And it's natural, because we love and care about each other. And I am so blessed and lucky to have that. And I'm inspired by it, and happy for it. It really sustains me and makes me a happy person. You know?
Well, we love you.
I mean,
Here.
I seem like a happy person in our regular life. I mean, I get onto these topics.
And it is discouraging. You're allowed to be discouraged sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. You're allowed to be discouraged. You're allowed to be sad sometimes. People, I mean, if you're not, then you're fibbing to yourself and other people. You got to let that stuff out sometimes. You know?
And the worst thing is, I don't want a revolution, but when you think about the size of the government and the scope of their power, and how once you start trying to look at just being independent, living a life for yourself that involves the people you love, and not have to be attached to these things that drag you down, you start looking at that stuff and you realize they won't allow it.
Yeah.
And who gave them the power to do that? I'm not looking to do anything wrong
It's like, who are
that
you?
hurts anybody.
Who are
If you
these
look-
people to think that they can do that?
And think about what I said I want to do. Is there anything about that sounds bad? I mean, I understand codes. Sure, make sure I follow codes that keep the environment safe, that aren't disturbing the peace. And I don't mean disturbing the peace and somebody next door doesn't like what I'm doing. I mean, if what I'm doing is actually imposing on them, not just because they don't like what they see, but it's not polluting, and I understand trash and junk can be polluting. Sure, regulate that. Make somebody build a fence, whatever. But to say somebody can't live a certain way, it just is discouraging, especially when there's really nothing wrong with the way they want to live.
Right. It's not hurting anybody, but people
Not
like
if they're following building codes and zoning and zoning laws. You don't want to build an industry right in the middle of a neighborhood. That I understand those things.
right. Well, also, hey, we've
Yep.
got 3 minutes before we have to call it a day for the morning drive, and then coming up next will be the New Gold Standard with Tony Hammock and his son Asa. But of course, we need to spray everything down and wipe everything down with antiseptic stuff.
Yep.
Antiseptic,
Keep safe.
not antiseptic. You know what I'm talking. You know what
Bacterial.
I'm talking about. Antibacterial
Although
stuff.
this isn't a bacteria, it's a virus. COVID is. I don't know what you use. Alcohol. What do you?
Yeah.
want?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the tables are missing still. We haven't put the tables back since Axe Fest. So it was like this last
You've been
week.
busy.
Last Wednesday it was just like this. Oh, but you weren't here last week, were you?
You've been
Well, that
busy.
explains that. So yeah,
Guys got a lot on your minds. Yeah. Look at your hair.
it's awesome. It's awesome hair.
Total
So
bedhead. Right.
I put
Mine's always like that.
I still have the sticker on my hat that says I voted. I voted yesterday.
Well, I love you all. Sorry if what I talked about was discouraging.
Don't apologize.
Or downer.
Today's topic is let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to apologize for talking about stuff that interests you and things that concern you. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm sorry if I was seeming disinterested. I got like 3 people
No, you
texting
weren't.
me at the same time.
You weren't.
So we're gonna go ahead.
Our community is not as interested in those kind of things.
Well, that's because, well, I mean, people need to get interested in it.
Well.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have
'Cause-
to look out for each other.
Yeah.
Make sure our government's doing the right things.
Because in 9 times out of 10, the government's not.
Yeah.
What it is some businessman has had the
Influence. In
influence
politics
to
and
be able to get
government.
these laws put in place to conserve their own interests and make money off of us, and it really had nothing to do with the government itself.
Yeah.
So, leaving you on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the morning drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. Be sure and tune in next for the New Gold Standard with Tony Hammock and Asa, followed by we're trying stuff where Dennis is going to be trying to broadcast from his house, something with Peggy Lee and Jeff with a G. So, until tomorrow, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
I was waiting on Steve.
Yeah, I know, right? It doesn't
And this
sound
is,
right.
I know, and this has been The Morning Drive.